Next topic is scaffolding. So let's talk about what scaffolding is all about. And so here the things that get generated through scaffolding: control and actions and views and routes. So what is and why scaffolding? Scaffolding is utility concept for quickly building CRUD-based application. By CRUD, we are talking about create, read, update, and delete kind of application based on model class. Okay. So when you do scaffolding, it will generate all the code for you. So it will generate the controller with actions, and it will generate related templates, meaning views. So it's useful for quick prototyping. So the way that you are going to do scaffolding is using a generator. So you say Rails generate scaffold, and then you specify the name of the model, and then the attributes. So here we say Rails generate scaffold post. That is the name of the model, and the attributes the model contains is a title and age in this case. Then Rails will generate all the code for you. So it will generate a controller called in this case the name of the controller, and so this is the name of the controller, in which it will add 7 actions for you, and it will generate template files. So edit, index, new, and show, and there is also what is called the partial. So we're going to take a look at that, and it also set the routing for you. So everything is all set to go for CRUD-based application. So let's take a look at the controller that gets generated via scaffolding. So it will add 7 actions in the controller: index, show, new, edit, create, update, and destroy. So you can certainly guess what these actions are all about. So this is the post controller, and we have index action and show action and new action. So in this case, basically, yeah, I'm going to actually explain this code by looking at the code, because this is not complete code. Basically this slide shows that these are the actions that are being added to the controller that gets generated. So this is all done for you. Templates that are generated include index.html file, index.html.elb file. Basically, this is the list of items. Okay, so again, I'm going to explain this code in the hands-on lab. So this is the index.html.elb file. The first time, there is no post in this case in the list, so you can create a post by clicking new post. This is the new html.elb file, so it's actually using what is called the form partial and then the link. Okay, so again, I'm going to explain this using the hands-on lab. So this is the new html.elb file. Alright, so basically we're going to do exercises 1, 2, 3. So first, we are going to create a Ruby web block application using scaffolding. So we are going to create Rails new and Ruby web block. Okay. And then we are going to generate the scaffolding. So this is the important command. So first we have to go to that directory that was just created, the project directory. So we are going to go to Ruby web block directory, and now this is the way that you are going to generate everything that is needed for CRUD-based operation against this the model. Okay, so we say Rails g generate scaffold and post and the title, and yeah, so this is the this is good enough. So we are going to scaffold. So you can see it generates bunch of files, including the migration file, because this is the first time you're generating a model class. So model class. Also, it will add of routes for us, and then it generate a controller code. Then it generate all the view files that are needed. Okay, so this is what gets generated. Okay. Now, if you take a look at the migration file, so let me just open this guy. So if you go to the migration file that was created through the scaffolding, yeah, it's basically creating a post table. Okay. All right. And then the model class that was generated, if you go to app, models, and post, this is the model class generated. So this is the post, name of the model, and the template files. So if you go to template files, it's supposed to be app and views, and the name of the controller is post, and then we have a bunch of the view files that are generated. Okay, so if you take a look at, for example, like a new HTML ELB file, okay, so this is actually using what is called the form, and you can think of this form is actually referencing what is called the partial. So you can think of partial is like a subroutine of the HTML fragment. Okay, so basically when new HTML ELB file is calling render form, the whole context, okay, this whole thing is actually replaceable by this line. Okay, the reason they actually make a partial out of it is because the same fragment is going to be used in edit as well as new. Okay, so if you go to edit, it does use the same the fragment. Okay, so whenever you have a fragment that can be shared in multiple views, then you create what is called a partial. Okay, so you can think of a partial is like a reusable HTML fragment. Okay, so again, we are going to learn the partial in a bit more detail later on. Okay, all right, so that is the set of views. Okay, and now let's take a look at the controller. So if you go to controller, so post controller, you can see we have the 7 actions. Okay, index, show, new, edit, create, and update, and destroy. Okay, all right. So we are going to go through this code in a bit more detail later on, following the steps. Okay, so I just want you to focus the set of actions that are created through the scaffolding. Okay, so that's what we just saw. And the routes file. If you take a look at the routes file, you go to config and routes. What has been added is resources post. Okay, so basically when you do resources post, it will generate the bunch of routes for you. Okay, so it's based on RESTful the web service the paradigm. Okay, so we are going to in fact take a look at the routes that are generated. You can say again break routes, and let's see what kind of routes are generated by having resources and then post. Okay, so let's say break routes. So these are the 7, in fact the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 different routes are automatically created for you. Okay, so basically the post and get is actually getting all the list of items, and post, this is for creation. And this one is the new post. It's basically what happens is that the new action is called first, and then when user enter the data, it will perform post operation, which is called the create. So the new and create work together. Okay. Edit is actually editing a particular item, and the get is getting a particular item, and patch and put, you can think of them like updating a particular item, and delete is deleting a particular item. Okay, so these roots are automatically generated underneath. Okay, all right. So now we are going to perform migration because we need to create a table, right? So table has not been created. I mean, migration file has been created, but that migration has not been executed. So you need to execute the migration file to create the post table. Okay, so we are going to say rake db migrate. And we actually take a look at the schema file. Okay, so schema file basically representing the things that have been done in terms of database management. Okay, so you can certainly take a look at the schema file. Okay, you don't have to. Yeah, so in Rails 3, you have to delete the index.html5 from public directory. This is not needed anymore in Rails 4. Okay, so this step you don't have to do it. And now in terms of the root configuration, root routing, you still want to actually change it. So we are going to change the root. So here, and so here we are going to say the controller, post, and index. Okay, all right, and save them all. And then we can start the application. Server. Okay, then what we are going to see is we are going to go to the root, and this is what we are going to see. So now there is nothing. So basically it's called the index because we in our root we are calling you're calling index action of the post controller, right? Okay, so we can actually add a new title. Hello world, create a post, and it will display hello world. Okay, all right, so let's take a look at the control flow. So that's exercise 2. So this is what we just did, right? You can do either localhost 3000 or localhost post. Either one should actually point to the list. Okay, so I mean this one also should work, right? Okay, like this. Okay, so now what happens is when you run the application, it will actually take the index session because what gets passed is the get and post. Okay, because that is what gets that is actually how things are. What is configured as routes, right? Okay, so it will invoke post controller's index. So if you take a look at the post controller, we have index action, right? Okay. Can you guys hold on a second? It looks like I have a phone call from someplace else. Hello. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, sorry about that, guys. My biggest mistake. It happens. Okay. Yeah, let me just stop for now. Let's see. Resume. So control flow. So when you run the application, either HTTP localhost 3000 or localhost 3000 post, because we set this guy through the routes.lb file, right? You are going to see list of posts like this. Okay. All right. So the reason is because when you do use /post, it will invoke index action of the post controller. Okay. So now if you take a look at the index action, it will perform post all. So post all, this is actually a method, all method of your model class. What it'll do is it will perform the SQL operation to get all the items, all the post items from the database, and then it will assign into this the instance variable called the post. Okay. And then it will display index.html ELB file, right? So it's basically take the name of the action, and then it will display a view with the same name. Okay, so index.html.elb file. So it will take, if you take a look at index.html.elb file, basically we are iterating that post. And remember each method we learned yesterday? So when, this is basically array object, and we call each, and then we are going, each post in this post is going to be captured as an argument of post, and then we are displaying post title, and things like that. Now you see this post and edit post path and things like that. These are actually coming from these routes. Okay, so basically this post is performing. So this link is post. This is what is called the route helper. Okay, so this is a lot more simpler to use than this URL pattern in your code, right? So these are called the routes helper. So when you use post, basically it's going to use this guy. Okay, post ID, basically trying to call the show method. Edit post path is this guy, edit post. Okay, so that is basically it will call the edit method of the post controller and things like that. Okay. All right, so that's basically. I'm sorry. This is not really in this case. Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, post helper is generate the get post ID. Okay, so that's basically what I explained. Okay, yeah, this one. So now when the user click the new post, what you are going to see is a form, right? That form is actually this guy, new post path. So when you click this guy, if you take a look at the index.html file, this is the helper, new post path. So that is new post path is this guy. Okay, and it will call the URL is going to be this, and it will call the new method of the post controller. Okay. So if you take a look at the so this is what I explained. It will just it will call the new method of the post controller. Maybe I should actually use the documentation. All right. So then if you take a look at the new action, it will generate the post object. Okay, and then assign it to post instance variable. Okay. And then it will generate, and then it will display new html.elb template file. So that is this guy, new html.elb file. Okay, and this is what you are going to see, right? Okay. Now, if you take a look at the new html.elb file, as we have seen before, basically it does have a new post, and then it has a link, and then it's using what is called the partial, form partial. So again, this form partial is whenever you have a shareable HTML fragment, you want to actually capture as a form partial, and form partial, the partial is always prefixed with the underscore. Okay, so if you take a look at the so this is basically explanation of the partial concept. So if you take a look at the form partial here, basically a form capturing a user to enter title and submit. Okay. And here, if there are any errors, then it will display the errors. Since we don't have any errors, we're not going to see any of this. Instead, we are going to just to see this form field, which has just one single text field called the title, and then submit. Okay. All right. So when the user has entered the title and create post, okay, then what happens is it's going to call create method. Okay, so basically, if you take a look at the this new HTML file, new HTML file is what I showed you here. So it will, it will call post path. Okay, so that is post path is this guy. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's not it. So this is the new HTML. So this is the new HTML ERB file. Oh, this is linked to. I'm sorry. Yeah. So this post is actually from the form partial. Okay. So when it's clicked, it will go to form 4. Basically it actually goes the same controllers and it will go to the create action. Okay. So we are going to call the create action. So if you take a look at the create action, we are capturing this is a strong parameters, and basically we created post instance variable set with a new post object from what is coming from the client. Okay, and then we respond. Then we actually perform save. So when you perform save, that's the time it will be saved into the table. Okay, and then we are going to display depending on whether user want HTML or JSON. So since we actually, as a default, it will display as HTML. So it will say, redirect to post. And notice, and this is, we're going to actually talk about these things later on in the controller presentation. Basically, we are redirecting, and then the message will be like this: post was successfully created. Okay. All right. So this is in fact this is the same thing as this code. Okay. So we are going to actually use a flash internally. Okay. Again, we're going to talk about the flash later on in a bit more detail. I want you to just understand the flow for now. Okay. All right, so now this is the create action, and if the post is successful, and it will redirect to post 1, okay, through the redirection. So it will actually call the show action of the controller, okay. So whenever there is an ID, slash post and ID, it will call the show, okay. So if you take a look at the show. In this case, it will just the show. The show doesn't have any logic here because instance variable is already created. Okay, so in this case, the show HTML ELB file will be displayed. Okay, so it will just display the title and that particular post title, and then we have a links. Okay, and this is what you are going to see. Okay, and then if you click the edit. Okay, then it's going to call this. Okay, so it will pass the post object and edit post. So again, if it actually go to edit post, and this is what you are going to call. So it will call edit method. Okay, so here we are going to get edit. Okay, again, edit doesn't have anything to it doesn't need to set anything because again the instance variable is already set to the post. Okay, so it will just display edit html.elb file. Again, this is pretty much the same as new html.elb file, right? Okay, and you can edit it, update post, and this update is pretty much the same as a create. Okay, and then back it displays the index.html.elb file. Okay, and this is what you're going to see. I know it is a lot of code, and we haven't learned a lot of things captured in this scaffolding code. So if you don't understand, the detail of each line of the code, that's perfectly okay. I just want you to know the flow, how things work. Okay, as long as you get the big picture, that's pretty much all I want. Okay. All right, exercise 3 is now we are going to add another field to the model. So here we are going to perform migration. We are going to create a migration file first because we need to add a column to the table. So here, Rails generate migration, add body to post. Remember, you can actually either use this camel case notation or you can use the underscore. Okay, so again, Rails is intelligent enough to know that you are trying to add a body column to post table. Okay, so it does generate the migration file. Okay, so you can see it does add these 3 lines of code: add column, the post table, and the column is body, column name is body, and it is a text type. All right, so we perform the migration so that we actually add the particular column to the table. So you can see add column has been executed. Okay. All right. Now, you can verify whether that column, the body column, has been in fact added from Rails console. Okay, so Rails console, and you say model dot column names, and you can see body. And of course, you can take a look at from the SQLite manager, okay, browser. And here we are going to modify template file so that it does display, show HTML, it does display the body things as well. So here we are going to display body, and then the post object body will be displayed. Okay, and the partial, we want to add this field so that user is going to in fact to be able to enter something into the body. Okay. And strong parameters. Okay, so again, the Rails does not allow mass assignment. Okay, so you have to actually give explicit permission for setting things into the model, into the model object. So here we have to add comma and body symbol here, so that you are basically allowing that this body can be actually assigned. Okay, and you save the change, and you are going to refresh the browser, and then you are now going to see the body, the field. Okay, body text field. Okay, and you can create a post, and then you can see it displays the title and body. Okay, and so the you can also add the validation. So we're going to actually talk about the validation later on in the active record. So you can skip this 3.5 if you want to, but this is the way you can actually perform validation. In your model class, validate presence of title body, meaning the title and body cannot be blank. Okay, so if the user does not enter anything in either of these two fields, it's going to say, that's not valid. Okay, and the title has to be minimum 10 characters. Okay, so these are a couple of validation examples. Okay, and you save it, and when you create a new post, and when you try to enter title without anything in body, then it will say body cannot be blank and title is too short. Okay, so if you actually this is the long enough, and this is the something in the body, and create post, and then it should work. Okay. Now from the Rails console, you can actually kind of verify whether things are working okay or not. So you can certainly take a look at the column names as we have done before, and you can actually perform various operations. Find one, meaning I want to actually find the first item. Okay, of the post. Okay, so it will display the first posting that you created. This is the same thing as post first method. Okay, you can get everything by calling post.all, and then you assign into post a local variable, and then you can find out. Yeah, by the way, when you do post.all, it doesn't actually perform SQL operation right away. It actually generates a relation. So basically relation object, and this is actually this is what is called the lazy loading. So it's going to actually load. It's going to actually perform SQL operation only when it is needed. Okay. So if you take a look at the class object of post, you can see this is the relation object. Okay. And the post size is 3, and so you can post is the first one. Yeah, this is post at the first item. Okay, so you can say first.title, first.body, and last title and last body. Okay, and you can certainly update the body of those things. Okay, all right. So so this is so this is something we have done. And if you want to actually see more readable format, then you can use post.toYAML. Okay. So when you call toYAML, it's basically convert the string into more readable format. Okay. You can also actually perform dynamic method, find by title, and then you provide the name of the title. And when you actually use this dynamic finder, it's using what is called the missing method feature that we talked about yesterday. Okay. And it will return the first item. Okay. All right, so I kind of give you a sense of how scaffolding works, and I'm going to give you guys about 20, I'll give you 25 minutes to finish this exercise. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I know it's not enough time, but as long as you get the sense of how things work, that should be good enough. Okay, all right.